Here at Rhemma Consult, we offer a very comprehensive immigration services that is tailored to meet the diverse needs of our clients worldwide. Um, we offer very specialized services and assistance for individuals to self-petition for employment-based green cards, empowering them to take control of their immigration journey. Whether you are an employer that you're seeking to harness a global talent, or whether you're a professional yourself, we work with you and we guide you through every step of the process. And I think what really makes the difference here at Rhemma Consult is the fact that we understand that immigration is not just about paperwork. Um, we appreciate the fact that immigration, it's about dreams, aspirations, and building a better future. That's why we also offer individual and family immigration services to assist individuals and families in navigating the complexities of temporary visas, marriage-based visas, and green cards. What we do here at Rhemma Consult is that we prioritize personalized attention and we ensure that each client, as much as possible, receives a dedicated support from our team and needed to achieve their immigration goals. Our YouTube channel and our LinkedIn page will be an informative resources for individuals considering various immigration pathways. So thank you all for joining us today. I think we are 4 minutes past 5, and so this will be the best time to start. Before we go into the nitty-gritty of everything, right? Emmanuel Ennin, who are you?
Okay. I am Emmanuel Ennin, currently a PhD candidate at Princeton University. From Ghana originally. I came to the United States in 2021 to study history at Western Illinois University. So after Western Illinois University, I applied to a couple of schools, got into Princeton, and I'm now currently doing my PhD there. I recently did the first part of the PhD program, and I've graduated into the second part of the PhD program, which is mostly research.
Thank you very much for sharing. Um, we do ask that if you join, you kindly mute yourself so that we don't make noise, except those who would ask question. There'll be opportunities for us to ask question at the end of the interview session. But essentially, part of the reason why we are doing this is to try and then understand the process that is involved. Many people do not have much information regarding this process and how it could help them make a decision whether or not they want to stay in the United States. Um, how do you feel about the approval notice? Are you satisfied with the outcome?
Okay, I think it's an obvious answer. I'm satisfied with the approval notice. I was sick when the approval came in, and I learned it had been in for a couple of days, but I hadn't checked their website. So I woke up that morning, went to email, checked what will be coming into my inbox, and I saw a notice from USCIS. I was like, what is this? Because we live in a time that is like very unpredictable. So I just clicked on it, checked it, and it was an approval notice. No, I didn't click on it. I just went to the website and checked whether there is a decision on my application, and it was. I really don't know how I got up from the bed and I did my celebration like this, but yeah, that should tell you it was a time of joy. I was very happy.
Yeah. Do you remember the very first time we had a conversation? You were in your
Yeah, I
room
do.
with your roommate. Yes. And I guess the question is we'll go into that detail, but how did you learn about Rhemma Consult?
Yeah, so. I usually like to think forward and plan ahead. So when I came to the United States, I was having just a casual conversation with a friend at Western Illinois University, and he told me, "Oh, there is a way to stay in the United States without marrying." And I was like, "Wow, is that true?" And he said, "Oh yeah, my brother-in-law did that." And I was like, "Okay, that's something we should look into it." It was just a conversation that passed by. After my first year, that's during the summer of my first year, I came to New York and I was thinking, okay, this is the time to plan ahead because uh, United States, you start application for PhD in your first year, second semester. So I was thinking about that, and I was also thinking about how to get something that will maintain me and sustain me in the United States for a short time or even a long time. So doing my research, I came across NIW again, watched a couple of videos, not from you. But when I went back to Illinois, Macomb, I was having a conversation with this friend of mine, Michael, and he said, "Oh, I'm also in contact with someone." So I give me his contact. So I sent a message, joined a couple of interviews that you had, and I did not contact you. I was like looking at what should I do. So I sat back because I didn't have the cash to even contact you with. So that was how I heard about NIW and also how I got to know that you are into this job. Yeah.
All the money from Princeton, you couldn't get the cash to contact me. Hey,
I was at Macomb, Illinois, Western Illinois, short of money that time. I wasn't at Princeton yet.
okay, okay. But you probably may have heard about different consults. Like, why did you decide on, or how did you decide that, okay, I'm going to go with Rhemma Consult?
Yeah, so I know you know that I had, and as I had said, I had been looking around since like 2024 or 2023. No, 2022 or 2023. So I knew a couple of them and I was following all of them equally. So if this one is having anything, I join. If they put out information, I read, look at their approval rates and how they even communicate with you. So I had spoken with a couple and I had followed one person I think I told you about. Uh, he kind of had an approval for someone who was in the non-sciences, but not history. And so I sent him a message, but from the conversation, I really knew, no, this is not the person. He wasn't very detailed and he didn't show that expertise. But when I had a conversation with you, and I tell people who I direct to you that try to know what he's going to do for you, like from the conversation, let him tell you the endeavor you are going to do. And that is what I picked up from our first conversation. I had returned from Canada, refreshed and wanting to start something. So I called you and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I have. And you were like, oh, you have more than you want to do. And so we can make it happen. So that was it. From the conversation we had, that former conversation I had with you, you told me the kind of thing we can apply for, and I have it jotted down. And I was like, oh, okay, this is the person. He's going to be able to do a good job. And that is why I went with you.
I see. And if you're joining us, just so you know, he's in the field of history, and predominantly there are a lot of information out there that NIW is just for, like it's predominantly for STEM fields and those who are doing things in the STEM world. So, knowing all of this information, how did you feel about being in a history field and thinking about NIW?
Yeah, so I have never thought of history as being a small field or an unimportant field as many people think. And that thought was much entrenched when I learned that the United States government has a historian that works with the government. And the role of the historian is very important, just like other fields. So I knew history was important, just that you would have to convince people for a very long time before they get to know how important that program is. So for me, I knew about its importance. But my challenge was that no historian have tried and gotten it. I started my application. I think I even submitted it whilst waiting. I saw one approval from someone who did history, and that is the only approval from history apart from mine that I've seen. So I was confident that I can get it with history, but it had not been done, and I was thinking, is it possible?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I specifically remember taking the case because I wanted a challenge. I would admit that he's our first historian that we took as a team. We've had non-STEM majors, so that was not a problem. But history is the very first time we decided to take that challenge. Mostly because he himself, he's an expert. We are going to get into what he does, but his research really was at the intersection of crucial fields that included healthcare disparity and environmental society and sustainability. And he had delved into, providing crucial insights into the passage of the Illinois Environmental Protection Act in 1960s, and also he also he has a lot of contribution that ties into CDC's advocacy for population health. And so, and also he was an editor for one of his I think it was a Western Illinois historical review. Yes. So, he himself had a
Yes.
lot. He had media publications that were detailed and discussing his exceptionality. And aside that too, he he was attending Princeton University. Um, so maybe let's go into specifics a little bit. Tell us about your background, like what you do on a day-to-day to better position your expertise in the United States.
Yeah, so I am a historian who is mostly into researching, and I have always had like evolving interests. When coming from the University of Education, Winneba from Ghana, I was very much interested in gender history and specifically women history, trying to insert women into the historiography and discuss the achievements, the challenges that women face. When I came to the United States, my first paper I wrote was on environmental history. It wasn't on Illinois, but on gold mining, its environmental effects. And I was also looking at the social history of it, how the people are contributing to shaping it, and how the problem is not from the people, but from the government, and what can be done to solve this problem. I usually take on history research papers that are very important to the current happenings. So at the time when I was writing about gold mining, galamsey was a big thing. My next paper was on dam, and the dam had flooded and it was affecting people. So I wanted to go back into history and look at what was happening. So I'm looking at how actions affect just the normal people and what these normal people do to push the government to write those things. When I entered into environmental history, I started writing about Ghana, but I also decided that, okay, I'm in the United States and I have to do something about the United States. Something I did without really thinking about NIW, but I was like, who you can't always be writing about Ghana. Will you be like that one-sided Ghanaian historian in the United States? So I took up a challenge, got a couple of sources and wrote on Environmental Protection Act that was passed and the role of people we don't usually think about. My next paper was on medicine and health and how women played important role in it. But I was also thinking about how in the United States there is health inequalities and health disparities, especially when it comes to race and sex. So these are things I think about and I write about and I research into, which are very important to the happenings or to the recent happenings. So that is what I do on a normal basis. Yeah.
Exactly. And that is how he introduced himself the very first day I spoke with him. He has a very nice way of blending his history
Great.
research
That's all should
into
take
what we
absolute
do
control.
on a day to day. And so he has a lot of expertise that we are going to learn more from it. So I guess the question is how confident were you in a straightforward approval? Like, did you feel like this is touch and go, as they say?
Yeah, Ima, I had Prof. Ro, I had been following you and I had conversation with you on your approval rate. But what really convinced me that I was going to get the approval was when we started writing and how you shaped the writing with our discussions. So when we were writing and I was asking questions, introducing things that I thought you oversaw it, and you were telling me, oh, I knew this is it, but I think we can write it in this way to make it catchy and make it approvable. I knew that I was going to get approved. And that is the reason why I decided to change from premium application to the regular application because I knew it's going to be approved. Those who go for premium are those who want to see, okay, am I going to be approved or not? But if you know you are going to be approved, and I had a time to stay in the United States, so I did a regular. So I was very sure, and it was because of my conversation with you and how the work started. Like I knew it was straight. Yeah, I also had God, so Yima, God is with us.
Yeah. There are a lot of backstories, but I learned a lot of moral lessons in our conversations. Yeah. So, you've spoken about some projects you've worked on, and I think some of the projects, not only does it end in Ghana, but like you said, the lead up 1960s to the passage of Illinois Environmental Protection Acts in the United States and how it interfered with US competitiveness in global economy while safeguarding the planet for future generations. Do you mind telling us a little bit about that specific project?
Yeah, so I was very much interested. I didn't read it, and it's been a while, but it's my research, so I should be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's emanated from me thinking about why do we have environmental agencies in the United States? What really caused them to do it, and what is this? How is this affecting United States as a whole? So I decided to look at it, and I remember Kohoja fire in Ohio, which made people to start thinking about environment and how to protect the environment. And I also learned that at a time, Vietnam had been a very serious thing that was being discussed, and Vietnam was going away. And so people decided to turn attention to other things. They realized that the environment was being really, really destroyed. Climate was changing, and so they needed to do something about it. And Chicago Tribune, which is a newspaper, agency took it up. They started interviewing local people. They started interviewing governments, pushing them to do what was right. We also see in the societies people rising up and taking actions. They formed groups. They sued governments. They sued companies, and companies started rectifying the mistakes they were doing to the environment. We were in a time where climate was a big deal, and Biden was doing his maximum best to shape or solve the problem. So these were how my work really connects to the United States and also the economy as a whole, because climate is really connected to the economy. We won't do a lot of politics here, but we know the discussion on climate and how maybe someone is saying, I won't pay attention to climate because China is already spoiling the environment and all that. Yeah, so it has a great connection with the economy and the United States.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of like talking a little bit about the economical impact, like with approximately 2 billion allocated towards community-driven projects that are aimed at deploying clean energy, enhancing climate resilience and environmental injustices. Definitely it shows the continuous involvement of US government in mitigating the impact of climate change, and that really, that paper that you wrote, the lead up 1960s to the passage of Illinois Environmental Protection Act is one of among the many that you write with regards to environmental sustainability. Now, the question I guess is, this is a multi-million dollar question in the world of NIW. Do you have any citations?
So I don't have a citation. Uh I I I don't have a citation, and I even when I contacted you, I had just a publication and just a publication, two papers under review, and it was during the process that these papers were approved. But we weren't even thinking about whether they will be approved or not. We were thinking about how to argue that this person is already working in the field, and if given the opportunity, he's going to do more uh, groundbreaking work. So that was it. It's no citation.
Yes. And I asked this question so that people will understand the fact that citation is not the only thing that determines an approval or rejection of an NIW case. So for example, like you were an editor for the Western Illinois, I think, history review. And what that meant is that your expertise were being utilized by others in the field of history. That again speaks to the fact that you are an expert and your expertise are used by different organizations, and also to the fact that you had some wonderful achievements, that was worth also highlighting. Aside that, we were able to show the demonstrated interest of others. You had numerous admissions. Your packages were really strong, and I think you also served as a vice president and president of the Western Illinois chapter, right? So like there were so many ways we really um, brought out your expertise, which to me, those are other ways to show that his expertise were being utilized, and it wasn't the fact that he didn't have citation that could determine whether or not he's an expert, because there were so many things he had done that his expertise were already being implemented in the United States. Um, I guess we worked together for a couple of time. How would you describe our services?
Yeah, so I really loved how we worked together. I usually would not like to. I can use our services, but I usually worked with you. I mostly worked with you, so I know you by face and also by the name Rhemma. But one of the papers I saw, the papers I worked on, I saw someone edit it, and it wasn't you. So then I can say you are working with a group, a team, but this team are like very invisible to those you work with. I don't know if someone knows any of your team members, but from that particular draft, I know you are working with people. Uh I know whenever you need something, like you need it. You need it. Like you don't care whether I'm in class or what. Like you need it and you need it now. Yeah, so uh I enjoyed the relationship. We had fun chats apart from whatever we were doing, but you were very like punctual with whatever we were doing, and you wanted us to meet time. I don't think I delayed you a lot. Maybe sometimes I'll be in a class, I may not respond, but I was also like sometimes pushy and telling you, okay, you told me this is the time. Why are we not moving? Yeah. But it was an enjoyable moment. I would always want to work with you. I will freely and happily tell anyone, which I am doing already, that if you want someone who can work with you and work with you well, who is serious with his work and who is taking your case very serious, then you need to go to Rhemma and no other place. So I really enjoyed the time we spent together and how we worked. It was very professional.
Yeah. Did you find transparency in the whole process? Like, do you feel like you were kept well informed and updated? Like, did you feel like we were hiding anything that we were doing?
No, you always update the Google document we have, and you tell
Mm.
me to go read it. I think with finances, I'm not so big on finances, so whenever it's time, I will send the money. You tell me, oh, you've received the money. That was transparency. But with the work, I think I don't know, but I've listened to a couple of your interviews, and I don't know whether you used me a lot because I did a lot of writing and we did a lot of collaboration, which I've not heard people say. So it means maybe I should come for some of my money, or maybe I didn't pay the full amount of money. But we did a lot of collaboration. I had to write for him to look at it, and it was very transparent. I know whatever we wrote.
Yeah, this guy is so funny, but I'll meet him back door and then deal with him. Like, yeah, and so you know, people people just some of the people that are here are thinking about this whole process. Like, what is the thing that you're going to tell the first year students who just came to the United States?
Yeah, so what have been my motto is that you work hard and you work without looking at getting anything out of it. From my undergraduate education till now, I don't envision something that I'm doing this so well to get this. I know it's my responsibility to do it well if I have taken it up. And that is what you have to do. If you get into the United States, some of the things we do here are not very local. They are not things we do in Ghana. We don't do a lot of presentation. We don't do a lot of attending. We don't do a lot of serving on boards. Some people were very political and they took political positions, but you should look at the type of position you take. The position we were talking about, I was the president of the Phi Alpha Theta Western Illinois chapter. It was not political, it was academic. And so I did a lot of organizations. I learned a lot. Uh, uh, Coordinating with my professors and also with other universities. So choose well, but start working immediately you get to the United States. My first semester paper was published. That is the first paper I had published. The second year of my first year, I did two presentations. And before I left Western Illinois, I had like as a four presentation. I had been invited to give a talk on a pertinent issue that was ongoing in the United States, presentism in history. And this was because I was communicating and I was contributing to arguments and things that were going on at the moment. So that is what you are supposed to do. Don't relax. Don't think I'm here to get maybe straight A's and go. Stretch up, like get into other fields that may not be of importance to you today, but they may be very important in the future.
Okay, yeah, definitely. And yes, that is true. You did have a couple of invitations for you to come and have presentation. That is also true. That also speaks to your expertise. And in fact, to some extent, that is your citation because like people calling you to, hey, come and give a talk here, come and give a presentation here is essentially like people using your work, and your ideas and your expertise. So that's essentially also helped. And of course, the media publications also really helped in that. I guess usually this is where we kind of like wrap up everything. But I'm going to ask you in a spirit of political questions. I'm going to ask you a political questions. Um, would you recommend our services to others?
Okay, I think most of the people here are not from you, they are from me. So let's take it. So I've already started telling people, I've already started telling people that you are the deal. If it's about history, if it's about NIW, you are the deal. You know what you are doing. And we've had like personal conversations that I think you may not have had with people where you tell me, oh, this person got an RFE and I don't know why they give him an RFE. I'm going to write it and I'm going to make sure they get it. And that is the only RFE I've gotten. And that is very intimate. So I tell them, oh, I know him and he's very truthful. He's just like a Bible character who would tell us, oh, I slept with 700 or 900 women. So we are very transparent. Rhemma is very transparent. He's very truthful. He's kind of hard to deal with sometimes. Sometimes you also be hard. You also have to be hard, but yeah, he's the deal. You don't have to go anywhere.
Okay. So now that we've heard all the good things, I want to hear the bad things. In what ways do you think we could improve our services or better meet the needs of our clients so that the next person that is coming will be better served?
That is where I would advertise for myself that you should employ me to deal with your WhatsApp for you because I know how to talk and how to convince people. Because many people are telling me, and I sent him a message and it took him a couple of days to respond. And that puts people off. And the last person you interviewed said that, right? Yeah. So that is one of the things you are supposed to look at. I know you are very busy and you are the one handling that part. So sometimes you may be writing something, you'll be like, let me finish before I get to this. I'll go and respond to this message because I may have to be detailed or it may take like 5 or 10 minutes and I don't want to lose track. I understand that. So maybe you need someone like me to be paid and I will do that for you. The other thing is, I know I did my 1 year ago, right?
Yeah.
So maybe some of the things have changed. But even when I was about doing mine, you had been in this business for long. So I think you should tell people, okay, this is what you are supposed to do or you would have to do. So get it down so that when it gets there, you give it to me. Some of the things I was in lectures and you'll be like, I need it. And when you say you need it, you don't say I need it by evening. You be like, I need it now, like now. And that it only takes me to like get it for you. Maybe if people will not get it, it may bring like misunderstanding between you. But apart from that, it's a top-notch experience. Everyone should work with Rhemma Consult. And we are going to work on it. He's going to employ me. So we are going to work on it.
This is more like a how do you call it? Self-employment. I
Yes,
see. So,
self-employment, yes.
so, so I guess you've said it. We take almost everything into consideration, but I need it now will never stop. But it has reduced. It has
Okay.
reduced. Yes, so that has reduced. Yeah, that has reduced. Well, I guess this is the time we are going to open it up a little bit for questions in general. Let your questions be more geared towards the process, the NIW. If you have questions on it, there are a lot of people that don't even know what this whole process is about, right? So, like, this is an opportunity to learn, not just for myself, but my name. He's also Emmanuel. He's a very troublesome but a very nice person. He's very informative. Historians themselves. I don't want to talk about historians. That is another day. Those people, anybody who studies history, I'll leave it. When we get back, though, we'll talk about it. Raymond,
They are
what?
troublemakers. They are troublemakers. Right.
Okay, okay. From the horse's own mouth. So Raymond, what is the question you have for us?
So, thank you very much for having this session. So, the question that I have is, I'll be starting my master's in September, and I read something on the internet. Somebody was just suggesting like, if you want to, since the process takes time, the moment you get into your program, you can start maybe applying. So, you being in the field, and what would you say about that? And then two, I already have a nonprofit in the US that I also give like fellow students, volunteer opportunities, and I also work with some locals as well here in Idaho. So do you think that will also make a good case for me?
Okay. So what I'm going to say is that I'm going to try not to say anything about your specific case because I don't know much about your specific case. But I'm going to speak in general and try and address your case. Hopefully that is a fair deal. So you just came in the United States. I don't know whether or not you have another master's somewhere, or you've worked 5 years progressively after your bachelor's degree, right? So all of those things matter. But for this NIW category, the most underlining and important fact is the fact that you should have at least earned an advanced degree. By advanced degree, any degree that is higher than that of a bachelor's degree. It doesn't mean it should have been obtained in the United States. I have so many clients that they've never stepped foot in the United States. If you haven't earned an advanced degree yet, there is also a way to show it, which is After you completed bachelor's degree, have you worked continuously and progressively for 5 years full time? If the answer is yes, then you meet the very minimum requirements, which means you are eligible. The rest is up to having a very detailed conversation about your portfolio and so that we can better address how you meet or you don't meet it. So hopefully that answers your question. And if not, probably take the next question from A Gladys, and then maybe if not, you can come up with a follow-up question. I just want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to ask questions that they have in mind.
Is it my question now?
Yes, I think so.
All right. Thank you so much for those questions. God bless you and the parents for a very informative section. So my question is, like, you've been in this field for a while. Let's say somebody already has an approval and is waiting for the person to get to a priority date, and maybe the person wants to use a field that right now the person is not in the field. What advice would you give, or what do you think will be the consequences when it's time for the person to file for the status of adjustment?
I struggle to hear you a little bit. I don't know if it's just me, but I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm guessing your question, because I didn't hear it very well. I'm guessing your question is that somebody has an approval and the person argued for maybe field A, and then now it's time for the person to adjust, and then the person is no more in field A.
Yes.
That if that is the question, you don't want that. You don't want that to happen. Because the very fundamental of the approval is based on your expertise in field A. And so if it is time for adjustments, the US government would require that you are still doing what you promise you are going to do. Because the approval was not given to you just for the sake of approval. It was given to you because the expectation is that you make an impact in field A. And so you have to keep doing what you want. And in fact, there have been cases where clients have had to change field, and in those cases, you are equally. It's you could actually get a denial, and it's legit because you made a very huge promise. Like in the case of Mr. Ennin here, he made a very huge promise that he's going to impact health care disparity and environmental sustainability. So everything he does, it has to be related to these two things. If he goes out of his way and all of a sudden is doing IT or French, then the US government has all the ability to reject your case, and there is nothing you can do about it.
Okay, so just a follow-up question, just one. So I believe that if we also want to improve and grow, so let's say the person who was actually in the same and along the way want to improve, so and want to stay in the same or similar field, so that would be a problem.
Okay, again, I'm struggling to hear your question, but I'm going to extrapolate as much as I can. So I'm guessing you are saying that the person tries to improve, and yeah, I mean, like the fact that Emmanuel Ennin has promised expertise in environmental sustainability and healthcare disparity doesn't mean that he cannot sing for a life, right? As far as he can do both of them, no one is going to be annoyed with him. If he all of a sudden decides that singing is his passion and he wants to do singing as a hobby, no one is going to get mad. But if for some reason he stops entirely and he's not doing things that is championing healthcare disparity and environmental sustainability, then that is a different case. But if you are doing both of them or doing something that is closely related to what you proposed, then the US government doesn't have an issue. But whatever you are going to improve on, it should rather be a side hustle or a hobby, and not that you are replacing what you promised the US government to do. And I know that there have been a lot of cases where I-485 are not approved because of that. And also when you are applying for the I-485, there is a requirement for you to show a continuation of what you've been doing. So, and the officer reserves all the rights to call you in for an in-person interview. And at that in-person interview, he or she could further probe, what are you doing? Can you provide more evidence to show that you are still doing what you're doing? So it is not like you can't do whatever you want to do, but you should still be doing something that is closely related to what you promised. Other than that, it's very difficult
I
to
think somebody is waiting.
make case.
They want them to be inside. We'll let them inside.
Okay, cool. So hopefully I answered your question. I really struggled to hear you, but hopefully I answered your question as much as possible.
Sure. No, you did.
Uh,
Thank you.
no problem. I think there is a hand from Okafu. I just like the name because of John Okafu, Mr. Ibu.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for this
Are you
section.
related to Mr. Ibu or no?
Oh no, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so my name is Ochima Okafor. My question, I have three questions actually, but let me know how many you can answer. It's not a problem. So, and my question is actually for Emmanuel, and I'm interested in knowing after you filed your form I-485, how long did it take before you getting your green card, right? How long did it take? That was my first question. And then I'm also interested in the challenges, you faced in this whole process, because I'm always very interested in what are the challenges. Yeah, we talk about the approval and how beautiful and sweet the whole thing sounds, but I'm very interested in the challenges. And at the same time, I'm also interested in what did you do well? What do you think you did so well that make the whole process smooth for you? So these are my questions.
Yeah, so I can't answer the first question, but I can answer the two other questions that are really related to history. I think the last question is what did I do well, and that have been highlighted in our conversation. I started quite early, and I know you are doing much because I follow you on your WhatsApp status. So I did a lot of presentation. I was out there and was invited for a couple of conference and particular talks. I also got a couple of media publications. I did a lot of conferences I published. These are the things I did well. And I started it from 2022. So it wasn't as if I did them because of the NIW. So these were things I did earlier. With the challenges, one of the challenge in the history department, and that is the reason why Mr. Dr. Odro was talking about history and how challenging it can be. Historians are usually careful, they try to be perfectionists, and they may be very careful in issuing out a state, no, is it a reference letter? Yes, reference letter in support of your application. Notwithstanding what you've done, they think, oh, there is more room and you are still young and you cannot call yourself a historian and all that. So this was a particular challenge. I had to contact a couple of people and later we decided to use only three. I got like the 5 or 6 references. Some were very shady and so we couldn't use them, but we got like 3 strong ones from professors, renowned professors, and we used. That was one of the challenge. Another challenge is you starting early because from last 2 weeks conversation, the guy highlighted that SEMA is like expanding and that needs a lot of like staffs. Like head IW, you can't just give it to anyone to do it. So people are in line. So you may think, oh, I need it in the next 2 months. And his last client may be waiting for 3 months or maybe 2 months or 1.5 months. So that was the wait time. I think I had a problem with him. I said, Ima, why did you tell me this? And yeah, they are backstories. But that is the challenge I faced. Apart from that, it was very smooth. You don't have to envision any challenge. If you have very good professors, lively ones who would freely write out a recommendation letter for you without thinking, oh, I no, USCIS will come after me. it's not like they don't trust you, but they feel like it's very legal and they are putting their name and their work on the line and all that. So sometimes it's challenging for them to accept that they will write a letter and sign for you. These are the two challenges I had as a
Thank you. You said you will not answer the first one. I
yeah,
don't know
because
why.
yeah, because you gave me the opportunity to either answer it or not, and I decided not to answer this.
I see. But I really appreciate if you can help me with that. I
Yeah,
just want
you
to
can
know.
you have my number, so you can ask
All
like
right.
offline. This will be posted on YouTube.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So Solomon, can you please ask your question?
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Drew and Rhemma Consult for putting this together. Very informative. I have just two questions, and I would be glad if you can help me with some information. First is, like, based on your experience, do you feel that the climate right now or the changing landscape could sort of potentially affect the duration that it takes for the whole process when one puts an application? And the second one is, for example, how long usually it takes for one to hear back on their I-140 when you put it in.
Okay.
Thank
How
you.
different is your first question from your second question?
So for the first one, I was just wondering whether maybe you feel that there may be delays in general with the process based on the changing political landscape. And maybe secondly, based on past experience, clients you've dealt with, how long it usually takes on an average for them to hear back on the I-140.
Okay. You know, I wish I could answer this question very affirmatively. I've had a client who has done regular processing and got a response in 1 month. I couldn't believe it, but I've seen it. This client, his expertise were in agriculture. I've also had a client who had waited up to about 18 months before getting an approval. And all of these clients were in the Biden administration, right? So it's not Trump yet. What I'm just saying is that it's difficult with USCIS. It's difficult if you're doing a regular processing, it's very difficult to know for sure. The best you can get is an average. But the thing about average is it's just an average. If somebody says an average between 6 to 12 months, it could equally be 19 months. An average includes outliers. It could also be as early as 6 months, right? And in how long did yours take in terms of month?
It took like 12 months exactly.
Yeah. So it's so difficult to answer very affirmatively, but what I can say is generally if you miss the 6 month, most likely 9 month. If you miss the 9 month, most likely 12 month. If you miss the 12 month, then you should know maybe 18 or 19 months. I don't really think the political landscape is changing the processing. I just think that um, the USCIS officers have a lot of cases to adjudicate. They don't just adjudicate EB2 petitions. They do a lot of different petitions, including H1Bs. Even under EB2, we have what we call PEM labor certification. There are religious petitions. We have EB1. There are a lot of petitions. We have family-based petitions. We have diversity visa. So, there are a lot of petitions that these officers are doing. And so it really depends on the workload of the officer. Unless you do a premium processing, which you are rest assured that 45 business days, they should get back to you. it's really difficult to tell. But I don't really think the change in government is affecting the timelines. It has always been like if you studied USCIS for a while, it has always been that there are a lot of backloads that they are clearing, and it just depends on the officer who's assigned your case and how many cases he or she. So, for example, if an officer receives 300 cases and about 200 of them are premium, he or she would have to do the premium first, which means that if you are part of the remaining 100, you are pushed down a little bit, and it just depends on how the office is doing. But mostly, I don't really think it's deliberate. I just think that they have a lot of cases to adjudicate, and these delays have also been equally there, whether or not it's been Trump or Biden's administration. So for the timing, I don't really think it has anything to do with the political, era that we find ourselves in. Hopefully, I answered your question. I don't think it was very helpful, but with USCIS timelines is difficult. That's the thing. Unless you are doing premium, it's difficult. Let me give you an example. So, I think in last year, maybe in October, submitted an I-485 for a diversity visa lottery for a family, and they just got approval like what last 2 weeks. This all last year while they could have gotten it early. So with USCIS, it's just difficult, whether it's I-140 or any application you submit, it takes time. But usually when they do have they have a dedicated page that they will tell you the average processing time for this type of form is XYZ. But again, it's still average. Average, if somebody tells you an average of 12 months, it doesn't mean rest assured 12 months you are going to hear from them. It just means it could be less than or equal to or even more than 12 months. Hopefully that helps.
I have a question.
Okay. Samuel, what is your question?
Well, it's about recommendations. I think
Okay.
I'm going to mention this because there are a lot of professors, organizations that sometimes refused, maybe because of one or two reasons. As Emmanuel rightly mentioned, that maybe they were thinking about their integrity or whatever, or maybe the government is coming after them after giving the recommendation or so. So if, say, you're in the process of this EB2 stuff, and then you actually, have problems getting recommendation from maybe your past professors or whoever or where you work, how can you guys come and help? Or what should be the next step in addressing that?
I was following till a message popped up and then I lost track. So I was following that it had something to do with
Also,
letters of recommendation.
yes, so if you're actually struggling to get recommendations from maybe your professors or where you work, okay, a lot of people sometimes find it difficult, to append their signature recommendation, something like that.
Yeah.
So if you face such problem, what do you do to address
Yeah,
it?
I mean that is a very difficult one to answer. But I think sometimes it also depends on your relationship with those professors or those and sometimes you may even have a great relationship, but it's just that sometimes when letters are going to the US government, like somebody would even say maybe I'm not a US citizen so I can't write the letter, or I'm not a permanent resident so I can't write the letter. But I guess with regards to what you can do, I just think you need to leverage your network, because sometimes maybe your direct professor or your workplace will not like to draft it because of policy or HR. But sometimes someone else you may know would know somebody who can review your CV and say that, oh, okay, I have not worked with this person in any official capacity, but based on my professional judgment and expertise in this field, I can tell you that his CV tells me A, B, C, and D, which we've had it happen, but it all depends on your networking, right? So sometimes maybe there's a conference, there's a workshop, there's a seminar, you make friends, and then like somebody can connect you with another person who has expertise and can review your CV and say that, okay, I've never worked with Mr. Samuel in any capacity, but based on his CV, I can tell you the following things about his impact and how it is helping the field and what it's making you as globally competitive or economically competitive. So I guess it's all about networking. Sometimes if your inner circle is not working, maybe you can contact someone else to get it. But of course, usually if somebody doesn't know you, he or she is hesitant in putting down the letter of recommendation to it as well. Any, do you want to say something about it since you are looking for employment?
Oh, yeah. So I think most of the times your professors would accept to do it for you. You just have to convince them. You just have to tell them how important this is and also how not so legal this is. I had professors who were like dragging their feet, thinking, oh, it's very legal and I cannot do it. I just had to tell them, can we meet and have a conversation about it? Sometimes personal, in-person conversation does work. When I had conversations with them, they were like, "Oh, this is something I can do." They themselves do U.S. immigration applications, so they just knew it wasn't something very legal, something that is going to affect them, and they trust you. Like notwithstanding whatever you are doing, your professors accepted you to work with you or are giving you those grades because they know you are doing what is right. So it may sometimes be very difficult when you are looking for them, but it's possible you will get them. It's not something that is undoable. So just gather the confidence. Send a couple of emails. Don't just do like, okay, these three are the only three I want to. Send emails to professors you have not even worked with. Sometimes they talk about you in their own personal conversations. So even if one is not willing, the other is willing because he has heard what you are doing. So that's what I would say. Employments accepted.
Okay, I think there was a hand raised before that. I don't know. I just want to make sure I don't skip anybody. We are almost at the hour. Is there any specific number of recommendation to submit? This question is so difficult for me to answer because it's not like USCI says that, okay, you have to submit 5 or 6 or 10. They have not said it anywhere. And it really depends on the case. So it becomes difficult for me to answer, like, is there any specific number? For example, there have been numerous cases we submit. We don't even add letters of recommendation at all. It's so many. You can look at one of our testimonials. I think there is one like that, like no letters of recommendation, because we look at the case and we look at, oh, this case is so strong that we don't need somebody else to back the story up. Like there are a lot of information that is too objective that even your worst enemy would agree that you are the best. In such cases, letters of recommendation doesn't do anything. And in general, okay, letters of recommendations are very subjective. They do not add much weight because, like, you've already seen the content of the letter. So if it was bad, you won't add it to the case. So they help. I'm not saying they don't help, but it is not something that they, and now even play the devil's advocate. I have also submitted a case that I've submitted as much as 14 letters of recommendation. Of course, he did get an approval, but it's just case dependent. So it's so difficult for me to say one, two, or three. It just depends on how your portfolio is, and but in general, maybe three, four, five. But again, like some cases don't need it at all, and some cases they need it badly because like you need more experts to attest to your expertise. Yeah. Hopefully that answered the question. Raymond, is your hand up? That will be the last question, and then we wrap it up. Raymond, is
Yeah.
your hand up?
Yeah, my hand is up. So you wanted to give me the opportunity to ask a follow-up question.
Oh.
Yes. So the follow-up questions I wanted to ask is, so I did my undergrad here in the state. And so I'm going to do my master's in September. So I wanted to know if I can wait to start the process, or I can start the process while I am still doing my master's.
So after you did your bachelor's degree, did you I'm guessing you've not worked progressively for 5 years, right?
No, I have not worked out. But the only
Yeah.
thing I've done for 3 years now, I have just like I said, I have a non-profit here that I work with, some citizens that I give them volunteer opportunities, for especially fellow students who are looking for volunteer hours. I do that too. And yeah, but I have not worked progressively for 4 years.
Yeah, 5 years. Yeah. So it
But
means that you can start working on your application, okay, but you can't just submit it yet. You can start working on it. You can improve on what you need to do. But in your specific case, you would have to at least obtain an advanced degree, which will be after, unless of course you want to do an EB1, which is an entirely different discussion that doesn't require an advanced degree. So it depends on that. We are really at the hour 6:02, and I'd have to I I I have to leave, but I really want to thank everyone for making the time here. So many years ago, I don't know if I have to say this, but so many years ago, I was an international student. So it doesn't mean I'm no more an international student. I don't know if I can answer that question, but so many years ago, maybe I was in a situation where I was a non-immigrant. And part of the reasons why I didn't do a lot of things, it was because I didn't even know it existed, right? So um, if you're watching this video, which is going to be posted, if you're watching this video, I just want you to know, like, the time to start is now. You don't have to use Rhemma Consult for your immigration journey. Whatever you do, just start early. Work on your profile, work on your portfolio, and most likely it would end up well. Like Emmanuel Ennin said, start early, work hard. He's done a lot of things. He got a lot of admissions. He had so many expertise. Work hard, stretch yourself, but make sure you are mentally fit, and then most likely whatever you believe in, it should work for you. That being said, I always give the last opportunity for our guests to end it. So what is it that you would like to say, or if you think you've said everything? Any?
Yeah, I'm not very political, but I think the time is now. And Kwame Nkrumah will say, self-government now. You don't have to wait. Those who are asking, I don't have. You can start working on it. You can join the queue. You can join the queue. Professor Dro is having a queue. He's already having a queue. Some people are waiting, like people are in line. That's what I tell people. Even if you are not sure, please just join the queue. Tell him, oh, I want to pay, and it's like $150, $200, maybe, I don't know. Like, just tell him I want to have the first consultation. Know what you are supposed to do, right? Go do that, start preparing, and join the queue. Tell him, okay, where can you put me? I am ready and I want to do it. So that by the time, and especially those who are about to graduate, who are getting into their last semester, by the time you graduate, you already have something that you are going to work on. When you do it in your free time, I think it's much easier on you than doing it and combining it with your academic work. Sometimes you are supposed to do some digging, you are supposed to do some writing, and if it crashes with something that is very time consuming, you may not be able to do it. So start now, start early, and you will do well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And I personally want to thank you, Emmanuel Ennin, and for the time you've taken out of your busy schedule. Some of us, we didn't get the opportunity to go to Princeton University. So, I don't know, maybe Princeton University students are very serious or something, but I don't know. But for you to have taken out of your busy schedule, taking time to, Princeton, PhD candidates, Charlie, thank you so much for your time. And
And
we
thank you for
really
the
appreciate.
employment. Yeah, thank you for the employment. I'll just be
No,
waiting for
no,
my letter.
but
I've gotten the notice.
But we talked that one backstage, but and all of you, thank you for also taking the time to watch here. Like he said, the time is now. Invest in the yourself and then work on it. And not just for NIW, some of these things, it helps you become a better person in the society. Like Raymond have been saying, he's had some volunteer opportunity. Like just do things. You don't know how these things will come together and then tell a very strong story about you. So thank you so much for your time. And then I do hope that our path cross. But if our path do not cross, it's been nice having you all here. Bye for now.